The Fethullah Gulen Peace and Dialogue Award is bestowed upon individuals or organizations that are seen to have made noteworthy contributions to dialogue, peace and harmony in their societies. Recently, the African Union Commission Chairperson, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, received the award from the Turquoise Harmony Institute. Previous recipients include Archbishop Desmond Tutu, anti-apartheid struggle stalwart Mr. Ahmed Kathrada, and more recently the widowed wife of the late President Nelson Mandela and rights advocate Graça Machel. Ayhan Cetin, who is the CEO of Turquoise Harmony Institute, joins us in studio. Good evening, Ayhan, and thank you so much for joining us. Now, briefly tell us about the Fethullah Gulen Peace and Dialogue Award.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. Let me give you brief information about who is Fethullah Gulen. I think it will make more sense, talking about the award. Fethullah Gulen is a Turkish Muslim scholar, thinker, writer, poet, and most importantly, he is an educational and humanitarian activist. So he is regarded as the initiator and the inspiration of the worldwide social movement, which is called Hizmet movement. Hizmet means in English to serve. And he is also noted for his pro-democracy, pro-science, pro-dialogue and anti-violent position. And in 2008, he was listed by the Foreign Policy magazine the most influential public intellectual in the world. And 2013, Times magazine 100 most influential people, so he was one of them. So he's basically saying there are three main problems of humanity. So one is the most important one, I think, the education, ignorance, poverty, and the disunity. And the people and the organizations who is adopting this philosophy and his teachings, they mobilize themselves and their resources, to solve these problems. And they open up schools, almost more than 150 countries. 9 of them are in South Africa at the moment, and these schools are serving the humanity, so regardless of their religion, their race, their background. And they open up institutions like Turquoise Harmony Institute, which is trying to promote peace, love, dialogue, and this kind of values.
Now, let's speak to Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma receiving this award. She hasn't played a direct role in conflict resolution on the continent, but in her work as the AU Commission, it has been very commendable. How does one become eligible for the award?
So this event actually is one of the events that we are trying to promote peace and dialogue, and we have. It is not a very difficult and complicated procedure, and we are not trying to award those people because of their professional success. So we are giving this in different categories. This is the main one, Gulen Peace Award. So we have like Media Award, Education, Art, Sports, and we are not looking at somebody in arts, how successful artist is that or what. So we are trying to look at what is their contribution, or if we see somebody has a potential to do that, in a meaningful way. So we want to also encourage them. So this is the main philosophy of the awards. And Dlamini-Zuma, so as you said, maybe she didn't do something directly for the contributing peace and dialogue, but I think it is a kind of encouragement for her. And during her speech, so she indicated many times, so this is a big responsibility, so you must work harder, to promote peace, and we must work very hard, so the peace in the continent.
Just speaking on the issue of peace on the continent, African continent has seen so many social and economic challenges and facing them on a daily basis. Are you only working in South Africa as a country, or are you also working with the rest of the continent in terms of our counterparts?
So as a social movement, so we have very loose network, strong loose network with other institutions. We have very similar kind of setups. As I said, almost more than 150 countries, working for the same purposes. So in African countries, I can say I think around 35 of them. So we have institutions like Turquoise Harmony Institute, and we have also a very good relationship with African Union. So we have a kind of MOU with them, you know. So we are trying to, you know, work to keep and build peace in the continent.
And do you have any other projects that you're working on as a Harmony Institute?
So what we believe, you know, the main reason behind all the conflicts in the world, people, they don't know each other. So when they don't know each other, they have only the assumptions, they have prejudice, or they have, you know, stories that hear from people. And what we try to do, actually, this is very, it's, when you hear it is very easy, but at the same time it is very difficult. We try to bring people from different backgrounds together. And we are looking for opportunities to do that. So when they come together with a good intention, they realize that they have more similarities than differences, actually. So when they realize this, you know, so they find more platforms, you know, to work for the humanity, betterment of the humanity. And we have some different activities. This is one of them, Peace and Dialogue Awards, and it is a part of Ubuntu lecture also, you know. So we are inviting some prominent academics or politicians or, you know, some noteworthy people to give the message of Ubuntu. For example, this year Professor Adam Habib was giving Ubuntu lecture. He was focusing on the inequality. And from the Ubuntu perspective, how can we solve this? And Ubuntu is a very important concept that we need to promote as Africans, you know. I think people can learn from this concept of Ubuntu a lot. And we are also doing friendship and dialogue dinners, so very informal dinners, but very friendly dinners. So all people from all different walks of life, they are coming. So we have excursions, you know, local excursions and international excursions. We try to visit those places who experience diversity and peace and dialogue. You know, it is also very important.
And now, very briefly, how has the reception been so far?
You know, we are very welcomed by South Africans. You know, you can imagine. And they realize also, you know, so what kind of barriers they have amongst people. And we believe there is a famous poet who lived in 13th century, Rumi, maybe you heard about him. He says, there is a window open from one heart to another heart. But if there is no walls, why do you need windows? So we try to break down those walls amongst people.
Ayhan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That was Ayhan Cetin, who is the CEO of Turquoise Harmony Institute.